Alright, welcome back to Star Ocean Anamnesis. So we finally got the Persona event, and I already showed some gameplay of that, so I guess we'll hop into the updates. But, first of all, there is something else that I need to show off, so if you go to this screen right here, you can actually change your mascot to Morgana for the rest of the event. That's pretty cool. So, first things first, we got 3 rerun events with the Executioners, first of all. These are pretty easy to farm, and I think they do have an elemental weapon in the shop right here with the knuckle, so be sure you pick that up, and you might even be able to turn it into a gear. And then we have Lucifer, which is also pretty easy, and then this is the Halloween 2 rerun, which is also pretty cool. But before we move on to the Persona stuff, we also have Mirage, who got an awakening today, so let's take a look at it. Her first talent is now a party-wide 30% attack buff, very nice. Her second talent is now a 30% party-wide attack damage buff whenever you're standing in close range. Then her third talent is a 150% AP on normals for everybody standing in close range. Then her fourth talent got something new added onto it. It's a 20% attack buff for Mirage whenever she's at full HP, and a 40% crit damage and crit chance buff whenever she's at 100% HP, again for Mirage only. Then her fifth talent has a 2% lifesteal whenever she uses current knuckle at skill chain 3 or more, and also nullifies the crits that she takes whenever she's charge assaulting. And then her last talent has a 30% HP buff, anti-flinch while she's attacking, and 50% damage reduction. And then her rush now has a 5500% multiplier. Overall, this seems like a pretty standard awakening, although she did get something interesting in that last talent with the HP buff, the anti-flinch while attacking, and 50% damage reduction, which, that's kind of weird, because I thought she was always meant to be just a full-on attacker, but apparently she's meant to tank a lot of attacks now, and she has that lifesteal as well on her fifth talent, so she's a bit bulkier now, which, yeah, I guess she couldn't really compete with the current level of DPS character, so they had to make, or at least send her down a different road, so she's a bit bulkier than current DPS characters, but I imagine her DPS is a lot lower than some of the other characters, like Airmat and Barodic, of course, but overall seems pretty cool, so if you like Mirage, then go for it. And they also have a rerun of Halloween 1, the Halloween 1 banner. There's a ton of banners up right now, and I guess next week we're gonna get the Halloween 2 rerun, or we might. But all 3 of these characters are kind of subpar compared to our current class of characters, so I wouldn't really recommend rolling for them for gameplay reasons, but if you do want them, just know you can use whoever you want in this game, so if you really want any of these characters, then don't feel bad about rolling for them. And now we move on to the actual Persona stuff. So first of all, we have an item set, which I'll get back to in a second. And then for the new achievements that we got for this event, the first 2 can be unlocked by beating 200 enemies. Then the third one for completing 6 mazes of tribulations. Then the next 3 are for running 40 multiplayer rounds. That's quite a lot, but I guess you do have to run it for the actual event. And then the 7th one is unlocked by collecting 30,000 of the blank cards that you can get from the Persona event. And the 8th one is for upgrading a weapon 5 times, and then we have upgrade an accessory 3 times, limit break a weapon, and limit break an accessory, and that should do it for that. And then we also have login bonuses. We have muscle drink, which is a 300 stamina recovery. God knows I need those. And then we have the Mona coins, which I think you can exchange these for 100,000 full. I think that's their only use. And we also have some Mona cookies. I'm not really sure what the point is of these things. I think they might be for gifts that you can give to your characters to raise their affection. But aside from that, there's not really much else. So back to the item set. It costs 5,000 gems and it gives you all of this stuff. Personally, I wouldn't buy this, mostly because if you're planning on rolling for the Persona banner, you're much better off just spending those 5,000 on the actual banner instead of an ace ticket to try and get your character, because apparently the rates on the Persona banners are insanely high, and I was going to get to this a little later, but I guess we'll look at it now. So if you go to the odds on this banner right here, you can see that right here at the top, the Joker, Narukami, and Makoto have a 9% chance in total of showing up, and that's on the 10th slot. And then if you go to any other slot, it's a 3% for any of them. Whereas if you take a look at the tickets, which for all the new players, you can use tickets to get the limited characters, although it's at a much lower rate because they're not on rate up. So you can see Makoto at a 1.5% right there. I think Joker's right there, and Narukami is also down here somewhere. So 1.5% for each of them, so wouldn't really recommend buying the item set, doesn't really give you anything good, and it's much better to just roll your gems on the actual banner. And the actual event is called Siren's Lament number 1. I imagine we'll get number 1 sometime next week, or maybe after next week. That seems a bit more likely, considering that that's when they'll probably introduce the next banner with all the female characters, so they might want to wait until the current wave of banners has passed. But in this event, you can pick Joker, Narukami, and Makoto as shared characters, or I guess friend characters, and you can play with them a bit if you want. You could also pick them as support characters from your actual support list, but the currency is called the blank cards. You can exchange it in this shop for a bunch of stuff, and wow, these shops just keep getting bigger and bigger. I think I said that last time too. But for the event weapons, I don't think any of these are useful. I think the daggers are pretty good for Joker if you want a neutral weapon, and the one-handed sword, which that's a golf club. I think he used that. That seems pretty decent for Narukami as well, considering that it'll make his HP shoot through the roof. I don't think the one-handed sword is that great though, so none of these are particularly good if you already have an arsenal of weapons, but if you want to run them as neutrals, you could do that if you want. And for the accessories, we have the Teddy plushie, which gives you Taunt plus 3, which makes you more likely to be targeted by the enemies, and it also increases your damage by 30% against all the enemies whenever the order is counting down, which seems like a very powerful ability. I don't think any other character has this. In fact, Narukami might have it, but this is an accessory, so you can equip this to whoever you want, so it seems like a very good one, and if you have nothing else to equip, I highly suggest equipping this thing. And then the next thing is the C set, which increases attack damage by 15% during element burst stun against all the enemies, and it also gives you a 50-20 guts whenever you're standing in close range. This one also seems pretty good, especially for characters like Roddick, who have that increased stun chance. Makoto has increased stun chance as well, so you can run this on him. Overall, seems like a very nice accessory too. Both of these seem good for the Persona characters, the Teddy plushie for Narukami and the gun for Makoto. So I'm wondering what they're going to bring out next week for Joker. That should be pretty fun. And then our boss is the that thing, which is weak to fire, lightning, and dark. Now this thing, I've actually fought this thing before. It's one of those knight type enemies, like scorpion knights. No, wait, crab knights. Yeah, I guess. But it appeared in the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius crossover as well, didn't it? So kind of weird that they use the same boss in 2 different crossover events. I mean, we have plenty of other bosses to choose from, but no, they had to pick this thing instead. God damn it. So, for the accessories, we have the first one, which requires you to collect 1500 points, or I guess blank cards in this case, and then complete every single quest on the map, and Misery 140 times to complete all of the other achievements. Very simple. And now we finally have the actual characters. First up, we have Joker. His first talent gives every attacker, sharpshooter, and defender a 700 attack buff, and every caster a 700 int buff, and that goes up to 1000 if you're above 100 hit count. Then his second talent, Arsene, gives 100% damage reduction whenever you use Edge and Smoke Gun for 0.5 seconds, and it gives a 100% damage reduction as well whenever you use Slash or Downshot Butterfly for 1 second. Then his third talent, whenever you're not in front of the target, you get 20% AP cost reduction, gives you an extra hit on battle skills, and increases your critical hit chance by 50% at 200 hit counts. And then his last talent gives a 100% AP recovery on normals, 30% attack buff whenever you reach 100 hit count, gives you an air dodge, and it also reduces your AP cost on dodging by 80%, and it also increases your dodging movement speed and distance by 100%. I swear these talent lists are getting longer and longer. I just can't keep up, man. And then for his rush, we have Arsene, Cosmic Flare. It has a 5500% attack buff, reduces Joker's AP cost by 65% for 20 seconds post-rush. And then for his battle skills, we have some very nice multipliers, some good hit counts when you consider the extra hit that he gets on battle skills. And they're also short range, long range, short, and long, which means he can take very nice advantage of Vanguard. So Joker looks pretty damn impressive. He's got a ton of different areas covered. He has the 1000 attack buff, or the 1000 int buff, which I'm pretty sure that's new. No other character has that. And the 1000 attack buff is exclusive to Daos, who is also unobtainable right now. So that's a very powerful buff. He also gives himself 30% extra attack whenever you reach a certain hit count, 100 hit count, which is very nice, considering that he only has 2700 for his attack stat, which is kind of low, but, you know, then again, he gets all these attack buffs. He has that invincibility whenever he uses his skills, an extra hit on battle skills, which is also really good. Let's see, what else does he have? Some critical hit chance, which is good for high difficulty content. He's good at dodging. He does a lot of different stuff. He's got a very high rush multiplier. He's got some very high multipliers on his battle skills. And like I said, good hit counts as well. So I would say he's one of the best DPS characters that we have in the game right now. I would say that he rivals Roddick, were it not for the fact that Roddick has that stun, and stun is ridiculously overpowered. But that's what we have Makoto for. I think he would pair up very well with Joker, but his first talent gives the entire party a 40% attack buff, 60% if you're above 150 hit counts or more, and that actually goes up to 80% after Element Burst Stun for a whole 30 seconds. He also increases the entire party's stun chance by 50% and increases his own stun chance by 80% when you're above 250 hits or more, increases the hit count timer by 2 seconds, gives himself an air dodge, and whenever he's above skill chain 2, he reduces his AP cost by 30%, and he also reduces the entire party's AP cost by 70% after element burst stuns occur. His Rush Orpheus Overhead Assassination has a 4500% attack multiplier and increases critical hit chance by 60% and crit damage by 30% for 20 seconds for the entire party. And then for his battle skills, he has Agi as a long-range attack and 3 close-range attacks, which seems pretty standard for a one-handed sword character. Now, the cool thing about Makoto is that he has a 50% party-wide stun chance, which I think he's the only one that has that right now. Roddick has it too, but his one is selective. And I guess Jack also has it at 30% for the entire party, but 50% for the entire party is very powerful, and 80% for himself at 250 hit count. And then the other party buff that he has is the 60% attack buff, which goes up to 80% after element burst stuns. 60% is not the highest that we have right now. I think 70% is kind of the standard right now. 80% is very good, but of course you have to hit element burst stun, which is kind of difficult, but he does have that stun chance, so that makes it a fair bit easier, and it is for 30 seconds after element burst stun, so that is very nice too. But that's his only form of party buffing. Actually, no, he has that 70% AP cost reduction post element burst stun too. So yeah, those are his only forms of party buffing. So overall, he is a very good character, very good buffer as well. I think Colleen is still a little better than him because of her better party buffing potential, but that 50% stun chance, don't sleep on that. That seems very powerful. And lastly, we have Narukami. He gives the entire party a 55% HP buff and a 20% HP anti-flinch. His second talent gives the entire party 35% single target damage, which goes up to 50% at 150 hits, and it goes up even further to 65% after element burst stun for 30 seconds. Then his third talent increases the order gauge by 1 at the start of the match, so you start with an extra order, and he also reduces the entire party's AP cost by 70% during the order countdown. And then his last talent gives himself a 150% AP on normals. It gives him guarding from every single direction, and it also lets him recover 10% HP every 3 seconds for 20 seconds after a guard. And for his Rush Izanagi Zeodyne, it has a 4500% attack multiplier and increases the entire party's attack damage by 50% and gives them 20% damage reduction for 20 seconds. And then his battle skills are close range, and he also has Zeo as a long range attack, which is kind of rare for these types of defenders, I guess. So that's also very cool, and Slash with a huge 1500% multiplier. So first of all, he brings that single target damage, which is rare in this day and age, sitting at 50%, which is really good, and it goes up to 65% post element burst stun. So of course you would have to pair him up with somebody like Roddick or Makoto in this case to get that buff. A 55% HP buff for the entire party is absolutely insane. It's higher than Cliff's 50%. I think Cliff has 50%. It's higher than that, so pair that up with Overheal and you get just an unkillable monster. That's very nice. The extra order, I don't really think that could come in handy that often, but it does help a bit if you need that invincibility, or if you want to pair it up with like Makoto and you want to do some bunker shenanigans. Oh man, I love the bunker. And of course 70% AP cost reduction during the order countdown, so I guess you could use that during element burst stun and get like a 70% reduction for everybody, so that'd be pretty nice, I guess. I'm not sure how useful his last talent would be, the guarding, because he gives himself a 10% HP recovery after guarding. I don't really think guarding is that useful in the higher difficulties because it's pretty dangerous, but he does have an omnidirectional guard, so maybe in his case it would be good. And like I said, he has Zeo, which is a very quick long-range skill, so you could use that to get out of trouble. Unfortunately, he has no form of damage reduction pre-rush. He does have the 20% post-rush, which damage reduction is always nice, but doesn't have it on his talent, so that kind of sucks. I don't think he would benefit much from having Blindside, which is the only mastery talent right now, so that also kind of sucks. But overall, he's one of the best defenders that we have. I would say all three of these characters are top tier. Joker is the best one out of the bunch by far, and I'm not really sure how good Joker and Makoto would be compared to Colleen and Roddick. I think they might be a little better than Colleen and Roddick paired together, but I'd have to actually see that in action. Overall, if you want to roll on this banner, I highly recommend it. You have the increased chance of pulling them too. Like I said at the start of the video, they have the extra drop rate at 9% for all three of them. So if you're planning on rolling for this, I would say right now is the time. But keep in mind, next week or the week after that, we will get the female characters like Reina, Kasumi, and Futaba, and it's probably going to be in a similar way like this, so 3 separate banners and then 1 combined banner, so be sure to keep some gems for that. And of course, seeing how good these 3 characters are, I wouldn't doubt that Futaba, Kasumi, and Reina are going to be just as good, so even if you're just playing for gameplay, I highly recommend holding on to some gems for them. But I think that does it for the update, so hopefully that was helpful, and I guess I will do my pulls tomorrow or maybe on Sunday. We'll see about that, because I am definitely going for Joker here. He seems like a very fun character to play. But that does it for me, so see you guys later. Peace!